in that camp over there. But I think there's a lot of sentiment to exempt the dividends and the capital gains, but the dividends to this dividend income tax because, listen, I mean, we need to generate income for the retirees, especially if we're going to start squeezing Social Security and Medicare down the line.
Overseas investing. Do you think there's enough opportunity here? You don't have to go overseas? How do you look at it?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned early on, 40% of the profits do come from overseas, but I think you got to do international investing. I mean, I'm in my book Future for Investors, I talk about how important that is. First of all, don't ignore Europe. Europe has a lot of problems, and I think the euro has a lot of problems. But European exporters, I think, can do very, very well. But most importantly, Europe now, on average, is selling for about a 10 PE ratio. It's selling at around a 20% discount off of U.S. stocks. I think, given the problems with the euro and all that, and I think the ECB is going to, prevent a general banking failure in Europe. I think that you can't ignore Europe, and particularly if you can pick up those exporters from Germany or anywhere else that are not selling to Greece and Portugal.
Is the company you're associated with, Wisdom Tree, have an ETF in terms of German exporters?
We are looking into that. We have a lot of, in Wisdom Tree, which I'm a senior investment strategy advisor for. We have a lot of emerging market ETFs, dividend weighted ETFs, and in European. And one of the things that we have is we have currency hedged ETFs, because I think the euro is too strong at 140, and I think it's going down to around 120. And we can buy European stocks with hedging that. And we also have Japanese stocks hedged against the yen, because with its debt, I don't know, I mean, the yen to me, Steve, defies almost all explaining. I mean, it's disaster, and the yen keeps on going up. But someday it's going to turn. They can't have the debt that they have and keep the yen the strongest currency in the world. And that's what I worry about. So I think you can want to hedge against the yen, and I think currency hedged investing, both on Europe today and Japan, and Wisdom Tree has ETFs there, is also a good choice. So I'm very enthusiastic about the offering that we have, and it's met with a wonderful reception from investors.
You have a basic strategy. Others have different strategies. Some have observed it's not so much the strategy. The key is have the discipline to stick with it, which most people don't. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And that's it. I mean, how many people I knew back in March of 2009 said, Jeremy, I can't stand the pain anymore. What little I have to make sure it's safe. I said, I know you've taken a hit here, but history tells us you got one of the best, lowest valued markets I have seen, not only in a generation, almost a lifetime, certainly relative to bonds. I said, please stay in. I was able to convince a number of people there. I got them a copy of my book, and I said, look at these long-term drafts. Look at all these points like this, and get the faith back, and a number did and a number did not, and that's why. Even though I like people who invest by their own, sometimes they need an advisor that can hold their hand and say, listen, we've been through this before. Let's hold steady here. And we'll work out at the end.
One final bearish argument is demographics.
Yeah.
We're an aging population. We're going to be selling our securities to pay for all of our elderly expenses. You don't buy into that.
No, I don't buy into that. And that's really what I discovered in my research when I was doing the book Future for Investors, which talked about how much capital can come from the emerging markets, the younger population. Now, I know that China has the one-child policy, so it's not as young, but India, potentially Africa and the Middle East, if they have any growth, those younger people are going to be acquiring assets. And there's going to be enormous cross-country intercontinental capital flows. They're going to be the buyers. The young people are the buyers. And by the way, the U.S. is the youngest of the developed countries. So in a way, we don't have the problems that Portugal, Spain, Greece, and Japan have in terms of their thing. We have a younger sector that's also going to pick up a lot of capital. But when I looked at it globally from a demographic standpoint, I saw, thank goodness, enough growth in the emerging markets to pick up all that capital that was going to be sold by the baby boomers and keep the market stable.
So we should be nice to India.
We should definitely be nice to. They're going to be very important to us. The whole emerging markets are going to be very important to buying our capital into the future.
Jeremy, thank you.
Thanks very much, Steve.
That was fun.